Hey, what's going on, everybody? RogersBase here with my review of One Punch Man Anime Episode 5, The Ultimate Master. And you know, when the first half of this episode started, I was enjoying it. I thought it was cool. There was some cool setup with the Heroes Association. I liked a little bit with their teacher, who was like an A-class hero, and then Saitama puts him down like nothing. But when we got to the second half of this episode, and we got the little bit of a fight between Genos and Saitama, bruh. Oh my god. I was sitting there watching that like every single attack between the two of them was just clashing. You could actually feel it. And knowing that Saitama wasn't even trying during that fight, and Genos having that revelation near the ending where Saitama actually takes it seriously for once and does the death punch just right in front of his face and it blows back the mountain. Oh my gosh. That is the definition of hype. That is the reason why I watch One Punch Man. And like I said, it was like, Genos still is obviously an amazing character. He's super powerful. He got S rank immediately within the Heroes Association. Not only did he ace the physical test completely, he also totally aced the essay portion, which is what Saitama almost failed on. I like that little bit where the guy behind the scenes of the Heroes Association was talking about Genos, and they're talking about Saitama, and he's like, yeah, you know, he got a perfect score on the fitness test and he blew away all of our equipment, but he almost failed based on that essay. I was really laughing at that. But I was also really enjoying the little bit near the beginning where Saitama was actually taking the tests, and we see him, you know, do the side to sides. He runs past everybody. They went into vertical jumping, and he just like goes through the ceiling of the stadium. I also thought it was weird that one of their tests was whack-a-mole, and it just goes to show like the comedy and the goofiness of the show. It was so funny seeing Saitama like try to hit all the moles in whack-a-mole. That was great. And then of course, when Genos finally gets that S rank, and we see that the reason he gets S rank and he sort of bypasses all the tests is not only because of his perfect scores, it's also due to the fact that he blew up the House of Evolution. And clearly the Heroes Association was watching him all those days ago when they actually took down the House of E. But of course, I don't know if they know, and maybe they do know, if Saitama is the one who actually killed Carnage Kabuto, but maybe we'll find that out eventually. And we got lots of new characters in this episode. We got Snek, who was their teacher, who's like that scrub A-rank, who was like doing the weird karate thing in the class, and I gotta say, I loved when Saitama and Genos were in class. Genos still kind of taking it seriously. You see his eyes are a little bit blacked out, and he's sitting there, but like, we see Saitama just laying back in his Opie shirt, and he's like blowing gum. The gum blows up in his face, and the Genos looks over like, oh, are you okay, master? And the teacher's like, what am I even doing here? I'm an A rank. Why do these guys not notice me? And then, when that teacher goes up to Saitama, and he's like, listen, all right, we have a name for the people who want to take down those of a lower rank. We're rookie crushers. And then Saitama just looks at him like, whatever. And we don't even see him punch him, because we know that if he would have punched him full force, his head would have blown off. But he still has like a fist mark on his face, and he's lying there on the ground. I don't think he's dead, but obviously he blew him back. He wasn't going to kill one of the other heroes in the Hero Association. But I also see what you guys were talking about last week with the callbacks to other characters that we already met. I like that we are getting callbacks to characters like Moomin Rider from last week's episode. And it was crazy how they're like, yeah, should he stay C rank or B rank? Doesn't really matter, you know. Obviously, if a character like Moomin Rider can be a C rank or a B rank, and then a character like Saitama is barely making it, you know that this whole association is just bunk. Like, the way that they actually grade people and score people, it's crazy. Or if we see someone like Snek is an A rank, like, dude, Genos and Saitama blew that guy back. So, obviously, the coolest part of this episode, though, was the Genos and Saitama stuff. I mean, hands down, that was the coolest part of this episode. And once again, I mean, animation-wise, quality of animation in this show is so far beyond anything else that is currently on this anime season. It's so far beyond, like, there's nothing to even compare it to. It's so good. And I think that's one of the problems I have in reviewing this series, is that, like, when you compare the animation of One Punch Man to anything else that's currently out there, when you have an episode like this where you see Genos and Saitama going at it, and like each of their attacks has an impact, you see him like blowing up everything with Incinerate, there's nothing else quite like it, and I cannot recommend this series as a whole like above anything else. I mean, it's the best series that's out there. I mean, I recommend it above everything else. It's the best series that's currently out there. It's probably going to be a short-run series. I think they announced that it's like 12 episodes or something, which is good. I'm glad that they're doing it this way, because if we get it in seasons, kind of like what's happening with Attack on Titan, I think even though we're going to have break time, it'll ultimately make the production value that much better, because obviously they can take their time, they can make every episode look as good as possible, and really there hasn't been a bad episode of One Punch Man yet. I mean, every episode has been good. Even with the little bits of downtime, it was still really good. Even with the recap, I enjoyed the recap. When we saw a little bit of recap with Genos flashbacking to Saitama, you know, slapping the mosquito girl and stuff like that, everything is good. In every episode. There hasn't been one bad episode yet, and I'm hoping that stays the case. But big question I have for you guys who are manga readers and not just anime-only watchers. What is up with that I don't even know how to say his name. Amai Mask? I don't know, the Class A rank hero that went up and talked to Saitama, not Saitama, he went up and talked to Genos after they did the Udon Noodle Challenge, and he said, listen, you know, be careful. That hot head of yours is good in attacking people, but if you're not careful, you're going to get burnt. And that sounded almost like a threat, so I'm curious to see what Amai Mask's powers are going to be. He must have some type of like crazy power. He must be like a really good character. And I'm not taking his rank into that account because obviously the ranks are meaningless. We talked about this already. But if he is the rank 1 A-class hero and he has all these fans, he has these different fans in the different fan clubs, like, there's got to be something to him. I'm really curious to find out if we're going to see that soon, and I think we probably will. That'll probably be the thing next episode that we're going to find out is what Amai Mask's powers are. But that Genos and Saitama stuff, I mean, that was next level. That's the best the show has ever been. I mean, that's tied with like the introductory stuff with the Subterraneans and the stuff with Carnage Kabuto. I mean, that was just amazing. Every single one of those attacks. The point when Genos did the Incinerate attack and he's like, oh, good, I finally hit him this time. And we see, you know, the from his perspective where he's like analyzing where Saitama's going. And then you just see Saitama appear right before him and then boop, like poke him on the cheek and then blow him away. It was like, yo! Oh my god. Just so good. Everything about that fight, so good. But I really do want to see, and obviously, you know, that one punch from Saitama, that death punch or whatever that was just done right in front of his face that blew back the mountain, obviously that probably would have killed Genos if it hit him. But I am curious to, somewhere down the line, see a full-on fight between Genos and Saitama. I just don't think Genos is at that level yet, but I still believe that Genos is probably the second most powerful character in this entire show, regardless of what that Amai Mask guy's powers are. He seems like he is this show's number 2. More so even than, like, you know, in Dragon Ball Z where we have Goku and Vegeta. I think like he's even on another level, you know, than like Vegeta was to Goku. I feel like Genos is close to Saitama, but Saitama's power level is just so far beyond everybody else, and that Genos is even remotely close to it, like trying to do everything with him, goes to show that Genos is super powerful. But again, Saitama is still leagues and leagues and leagues above everybody else. He really doesn't care. In that fight, like after that fight when he blew back the mountain and he's like, let's go get udon noodles, he's like prancing around all happily. And it was funny to me that Saitama basically counted that udon noodle challenge that they took where Genos drank the entire thing of like spicy noodles and won 50,000 yen. I think it was really funny that he took that into account as a full fight. He's like talking to Genos afterwards and Saitama's like, yeah, all right, now you have a win on me and I have a win on you, so we're all good. So Saitama clearly looks at him sort of like as an equal, but he knows that he still has to hold back when he's actually fighting him because he knows he'll kill him. That death punch again was just absolutely incredible. Seeing him do it right in front of his face and blow back the mountain, best moment of the episode. Some of the other things I want to talk about, though, are the other heroes in the association. I think it's really cool that we're finally getting an overarching arc throughout the course of this show. I wasn't really sure where the show was going to be going around episode 3, episode 4. It was like, each week, are we just going to get like a new villain that they blow back, or what's going to happen there? And I'm glad that we are actually getting sort of like an overall story arc. We're going to, I'm sure, find out more about this Heroes Association. Like, we know it was put together by that one millionaire guy. I forgot what his name was. I didn't even write it down. It wasn't important, I don't think. But, you know, the association was put together by that millionaire guy, and clearly the ranks are, like, a little weird. So I am very interested to find out who these other heroes are, you know, what their powers are. If there is going to be anyone that even matches Genos' power, because obviously Saitama is still like so far beyond everybody, but if there's going to be someone who matches Genos' power, I'm going to be hyped to see that fight. I really do hope that there's going to be some cool power that Amai Mask has, and I really want to see a fight between Mask and Genos. And I think it's cool to see how the fan clubs are evolving already for Genos. They were like, oh, you know Mask? You're friend with Mask? Oh my god, could I shake your hand? that was really neat. But obviously that's what Saitama wants. Saitama doesn't care about any of this other stuff, about the rankings or anything. He just wants a fan club. He wants a fan club. He wants to be recognized as like the greatest hero. And I think it's pretty cool how Genos doesn't even care. He's like, yeah, well, we get fan clubs in the higher ranks, but whatever. And then Saitama obviously cares. Saitama wants that. So I wonder how Saitama's gonna like rank above everybody else if he just seemingly still doesn't care about everything. Like if he still goes nonchalantly blowing up people and he really doesn't care, yeah, how is he gonna rank up among, you know, the weird nonsensical rankings of the Heroes Association? I'm curious to find out more about that. There was one other thing I wanted to mention too in terms of Saitama, which is the nicknames. You know, Genos mentioned that each of the heroes within the class get different nicknames. Genos mentioned that his nickname might be like Blonde Cyborg or something. It seems very obvious to me that Saitama is eventually going to get the nickname One Punch Man. That seems like that has to be his nickname, because obviously he is the One Punch Man, and he is taking out everybody in one punch, but I don't think it's been directly referenced that that is his name or his nickname in the show so far. So I think that's where he's actually going to get his nickname, and I think he will be known as One Punch Man. But overall, love this episode. I was, you know, kind of questioning it near the beginning. I thought the pacing was weird. I was like, all right, this is goofy, and it's still really funny. But when we got that battle between Genos and Saitama, that was next level. That was amazing. So I got to give this episode a 4.5 out of 5. It was close to a perfect. It was just some of the stuff in the beginning, the stuff with Snack. It's like, all right, get out of here, you crusty. Everything else was amazing in this. I love the setup. I can't wait to find out more. We saw in the like promo, kind of. It was after the ending, but before the tease of next week's episode, which is called The Terrifying City. We see that Genos is now going to be Saitama's roommate, and he pays him using he pays him in rent money using like the spicy noodle udon challenge money. So I thought that was kind of funny, and it'll be interesting to see these two characters live together, and maybe we get some weird like slice of life stuff between the two of them. But overall, great episode. Once again, I love it. A lot of you guys asked me in the comments too where I've been watching this. So it's available online on daisuki.net, I think. I will put a link down below where you guys can check it out. But that's where I watch it every week whenever it goes live. Guys, if you liked anything that I had to say, please like this video. Be sure to subscribe because I bring you guys One Punch Man reviews every single week. And until next time, I will talk to you guys later. One Punch!